Everybody, welcome back to We Are the Batman. I'm Mike.
And this is Matthew.
Happy New Year. I know we're a couple weeks late, but Happy New Year, everybody. It's 2024 somehow. That came out of nowhere, but
Indeed.
Here we are. So we thought, since it's our, and also, by the way, guys, thank you for your patience. Things got a little off the rails here right at the end of the year. For those who don't know, Chaboy has been going through it. And so thankfully, we already planned on taking the month of December off. Thank God we had so many in the can, because otherwise we weren't going to be putting out a goddamn thing. So here we are. The audio's probably going to sound a little wonky because I don't have my full setup ready and raring to go yet, but whatever, fuck it. We're going to do what we want to do. So we thought it would be fun to take a look back at the year that was 2023 for DC and Batman, and also talk about what we're looking forward to in 2024. But because it's been a bit since we've done anything in person with this show, Matt, how you doing, buddy?
I'm cruising. Like, that's all I can say. I have my plan for 2024. I have a big plan for 2025. But 2023, I'm not one of those guys. I'm happy that year is done.
Oh, I am.
I'm sure. But I'm also like that whole like man. I just want to get through 2024 without anything happening like what happened in 2023. Let's say it that way.
I saw a meme today that was like 2023, written by Stanley Kubrick, directed by Quentin Tarantino, with the music by Yoko Ono. And I was like, yeah, that tracks. That is accurate. Specifically Yoko Ono in that one video that keeps going around of her and John Lennon and the other guy. And she's just Jimi Hendrix, and she's just screaming into the microphone.
No, not Jimi Hendrix. Chuck Berry.
Was it Chuck Berry? I don't remember. I've seen that video 1,000 times a day, because honestly, she starts screaming and that's all I can think about.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2023 was a year of ups and downs, particularly in DC and Batman, in the world of DC and Batman. So, man, DC had a year. DC had a year.
Good night.
Not a good one either. Between I keep wanting to say Black Adam, but I forget that was the end of 2022.
Yeah, they had 4 box office bombs this year.
4. And 2 of them didn't deserve to be. I will contest that neither Blue Beetle nor The Flash deserved to bomb the way they did. Especially Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle should have done a lot better than it did. I am absolutely heartbroken that movie did not succeed. However, I am happy to know that James Gunn has every intention of moving forward with and I cannot remember the actor's name.
Zolo dude.
Thank you. He's like, because even he was like, yeah, like I think everybody pretty much agreed, like, how did this movie not crush? This movie should have crushed.
Zolo
Flash,
Mardueña.
Thank you. I guess. I think I tried to say his name when we reviewed it, and I was like, not going to happen. And The Flash, while The Flash was kind of a hot mess, mixed bag, it definitely, I think, should have at least made its money back. Shazam 2, I think I said when we reviewed it, I think kind of the same thing. I think it probably deserved to break even, or maybe take a loss, but not lose like it did. Shazam 2 lost a lot harder than I think it deserved to.
Look, I'm gonna be the guy.
Yeah,
The Rock screwed that movie.
Oh, 1,000%. That movie got wrecked. Well, not only did Black Adam, but everything that then came about with all the Henry Cavill stuff as a result of that. It was just, that movie wrote a check that neither it nor the rest of the DC slate was able to catch. So, but in terms of movies, yeah, DC just didn't have a good year in 2023, and it is unfortunate, but. And we haven't even mentioned Aquaman 2, because I don't think either of us have actually seen it.
I entertained the idea of going to like a $5 feature, and then I had that moment of like, or I could do anything better with my time.
It came out right when I was in the middle of like coming out of the hospital and all that. So there was no way in hell I was going to go see it. At this point, I'll wait till it's on streaming. But because honestly, just my morbidly curious completionist brain is like, I have to watch it. I can't not watch it.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to like it, but we'll see. I still haven't seen the Marvels yet either for the same reason. It's just I just haven't been able to get out to a theater. At this
I
point,
enjoyed it. It was fun.
I look. I like the first Captain Marvel, so I'm looking forward to when it hits Disney here in like a week. I think is when it's hitting Disney.
You know what? That makes me ask you something. I'm
Yeah,
laughing because I leaned back and then realized I have a headset. I don't have to worry about how far away from my laptop I am.
that's true. That's
Hey,
true.
do you? This is maybe it's an observation. There are people out there that are trying to say the DC slate failed because of James Gunn's announcement. I don't think
Not
so
even close.
because
I
even
don't
the
believe that for a
Marvel
sec.
stuff hasn't been
Yeah,
doing well. Do you think? I've heard two theories on it. Do
I
you
know what
think?
one of them
Do
is.
you think one that the genre is tired, or two? Do you think it's a theory I had years ago? Is that
Okay.
nerds do not make these movies work. People who are fanboys who read comics don't make these movies work. It's when you appeal to the mass audience that these movies do what they do. And because you got rid of these big guys that we all knew, your Iron Man, your Captain America, Batman and Superman aren't in these movies per se. Do you think that's what's causing across the board a lot of these superhero movies? Because I mean, if you look at it from my homework I've done before, the only superhero movie that actually succeeded very, very well, not even even though it didn't quite hit their expectations, was Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because it did like
I,
800 million.
I think it's far too complicated of an issue to be any one thing. I personally do not believe in the superhero fatigue of it all, only because when it's good, people turn out for it.
Guardians 3. Yeah.
Guardians 3. People turned out for Guardians 3 because that movie is a goddamn masterpiece. Um, I don't think James Gunn's announcement necessarily hurt anything because at the time he made his announcement, they were still waiting to see what was going to happen with like Black Adam and Shazam 2, and Blue Beetle and the Flash. None of those had come out yet. He had said like we're waiting to see how things fall before we make a decision.
Yeah.
And he has continued to say in the time since, like, we're not committing to anything until we have scripts in place. Like actors will return, some won't. Some will return just as different characters. He's like, we're starting over, yeah. But he also made a point in his announcement to say these movies are also very good. You know, he knew as the head of DC, he had to put his faith in them and drive people together. Now, whether or not that landed is up for debate, especially because you also got to remember at the end of the day, movies are a taste issue. Just because James Gunn liked them doesn't mean everybody else was going to like them.
Yeah.
You know, James Gunn was speaking from what he had seen, but also you have to remember nothing that has come out so far has had his name attached to it. He's not even listed in the credits as an executive producer. He has had his hands on nothing.
Yeah.
The only thing he's had his hands on is Guardians and Superman, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So I think it's far too complicated to be any one thing. I think honestly, it just comes out to just what's come out hasn't been as good as it could have been.
Or
It's just been the stuff itself. Look, Thor: Love and Thunder was kind of a mixed bag. I really liked it. I get why a lot of people didn't. You know, The Flash, I really liked it. I get why people didn't though. It's stuff's been kind of a mixed bag. But as we saw with Guardians of the Galaxy, when something's good, genuinely good, the people will turn out to see it.
yeah.
You know, I think people knew that, and I, you know, the Flash. I'll go ahead and say right now, I think a lot of what happened with the Flash was Ezra Miller, and the fact that the Flash had been pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed,
They
and
shot themselves
also
in the foot changing so much with that.
they did not only that, but you know, with the Snyder cut showed a lot of people what they kind of could have had, and that movie resonated with a lot of people, which then led people to be kind of pissed off at DC and the old guard at Warner Brothers. And I also think, and I think this is really important to remember, is the average person doesn't know shit about the DC Discovery Warner Brothers management shakeup. because while people like you and I and who listen to this podcast are more plugged into the movie sphere than the average person, the average moviegoer doesn't know, nor do they care.
Yeah.
They just want to go see a movie and they want the movie to be good. You know, my mother's one of those people. She just wants to watch a good movie. She just wants to watch a good show.
Yeah.
She doesn't give a shit who directed it, who the studio head is. She doesn't care. That's not, she's just there to be entertained. And so as far as like appealing to a wide mass audience, I push back on that because look, the MCU started with Iron Man.
Oh yeah, no,
in
I mean
2008.
they built up, and I think they got to that point. But no, see what you're saying because I even think about like my son Race, who over the last couple of years has gone like I don't care about superhero movies, but he'll watch Guardians.
Yeah,
he loves the Guardians movies, but he didn't have any interest in seeing the Flash, Aquaman. He enjoyed Blue Beetle, you know,
yeah.
but which is weird because both him and my daughter were into Blue Beetle because of what's it called?
Because of Brave and the Bold.
Brave and the Bold, yeah.
Yeah.
So they were like, "Oh, Blue Beetle, yeah." So
well, and I think Blue Beetle was a big. I even remember thinking like Blue Beetle was a big swing to take because I'm like, again, this is a character that's popular from two children's shows.
Yeah, yeah.
Brave and the Bold and Young Justice.
Yeah.
So, and a little bit of in the Injustice video game, and it was just when DC was dropping trailers and they put the comic books at the end. The Blue Beetle one, like one of them wasn't even a Blue Beetle comic. I think it was Infinite Crisis.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, there's not a ton to pull from this guy. It was a swing, and I thought it was a really good. But also with Blue Beetle, you got to remember that show that was originally supposed to be an HBO Max series, not a movie.
Yeah.
So it was in there with the same camp as Batgirl. Again, it was just a lot of bad press, a management shakeup as a result of that bad press. It's too complicated to pin it on any one thing. It was just kind of a perfect storm. But I also think that's why, and again, we're going to get into this more when we get into what we're looking forward to. I think they're doing the smart thing by pulling back on movies for this year and letting some of the stuff breathe a bit. And even on the Marvel side of things, Kevin Feige has said, like, we're going back. He's like, he admitted, like, we tried to do too much. We tried to do too much at once. Yeah. We're scaling things back. We're going to quality over quantity again. That's why they're square oneing on Daredevil Born Again, because they were like, we're putting in a dedicated showrunner. We're because they hadn't even gone into like production yet. He's like, we're reapproaching this and reevaluating it, making sure that we're putting out something good, not efficient.
Yeah,
which I think is smart to do. That's why I think dropping, at the time we're recording this, Echo dropped last night, and that's a part of their Marvel Spotlight thing that's just focused character stories that are just, they're not as big on, it's not, because the problem we've gotten into with some of the Disney Plus stuff with Marvel is that you have to watch fucking everything. If you didn't watch WandaVision, you're not going to get what's going on in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
If Loki season 2 and things, as even though Loki season 2 was amazing, it's just been trying to do too much at once. And so going back to just keep your story focused, keep it story driven, and focus on the story. That's what James Gunn has been saying from day one, is it's all about the story and the scripts and taking their time and making sure everything is in place before they move forward. So yeah. No, 2023 was a mess.
Well, and it's funny because what I alluded to is I have this thing is I was like really thinking about both the MCU and both Marvel and DC, and I may have to fight people when I say this, but the fact that both of them, the best thing that came out of them was animated series, is kind of insane. Like, What If was season 2 was amazing.
Yeah, until the finale.
Yeah, the finale was. It wasn't.
The finale was a hot mess. The finale was a hot mess.
I didn't mind it, but it was not the buildup that the first season had, which I think my buddy Robert was like, they set an unfair precedent by having this amazing buildup, and now you've got to do that every season, and it didn't quite hit it this time.
Yeah, it is what it is. That's another conversation for another show. But
then Superman Legacy on the DC side, not Superman.
No, My Adventures with Superman.
My Adventures with Superman on the DC side, like,
was
fantastic,
so good. Oh, I can't wait for season 2. Oh, I hope that comes soon. Well, look, we're on to the idea of positives and what we let's get into what we're looking forward to with this coming year, man, because there's a lot more coming than I think people realize. It's just smaller scale stuff, and I hope we're getting season 2 of My Adventures with Superman this year. I really hope
I'm going to
so.
research it while you're talking. Vamp.
Because and if you guys, we did a whole review of season 1. We didn't do an episode by episode on it because neither of us knew it existed, and it took Matt watching a couple episodes to be like, dude, have you seen this Superman anime thing? And I was like, no, what the hell are you talking about? And we all know how I am about Superman, and Matt was like, dude, you need to watch this
Yeah.
like now.
Yeah.
You need to go sit. And so I pulled up the first episode. 5 minutes in, I was like, this is like the greatest thing I've seen in a long time, man.
Yeah, I think I said the
So
fact that
good.
they did more in the first 2 episodes of the show for Superman than the entirety of the DCFU is insane.
It's just, and also like, just as a fuck you to the naysayers, they gave Superman a Sailor Moon transformation sequence when he gets in suit the first time, and it's kind of the best. It's both the dumbest and best thing ever. I mean, it really. But yeah, that show did for me similar to like what Henry Cavill's Man of Steel did. It's just like it gave me just enough of that different flavor that I think was missing from Superman to make me a fan.
Yeah.
And like if you had told me at the beginning of 2023, hey, this as somebody who's not a Superman fan and is not an anime fan, if you had told me, hey, this Superman anime is going to be like your favorite thing this year, I'd have said you were smoking crack. I mean, there's no way. And yeah, it floored me. So I really hope we're getting season 2
There is
this
a
year.
season 2. Apparently,
Okay.
Jack Quaid said season 2 is in the can. They just have not announced when it's starting.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
Well, I imagine, yeah, you don't go into you don't end a season like that unless you're ready and raring to go for season 2.
yeah.
Uh, like it's not like the Orville season 3 where it ended with a nice enough bow that if that's the last season, that's okay, but I'd still like more.
I'm,
D-
I'm laughing because Adrian
Adrian
Padalecki
Palicki,
was
yeah,
on Michael Rosenbaum's podcast, and he brought up the
yeah,
Orville, and she had
yeah.
some interest. Did you listen to that episode?
I did. Seth MacFarlane was kind of the same way in an interview where everyone's just kind of like, we don't know.
Well,
They kind of got screwed in the process from what Seth MacFarlane said on Twitter when basically the show was on. They released season 3 on Hulu and it crushed in the numbers. Then they said now it's going to be on Disney Plus because of the Fox buyout and all that. But Seth MacFarlane said that season 4 was going to be dependent on how good the numbers on Disney Plus were. And I was like, well, that's stupid because it's already been out on Hulu for a month. So it's not going to have the same numbers on Disney Plus. Everybody who's going to watch it already watched it.
yeah.
And also, as somebody who's been home sick for 3 weeks, I've been trying to watch it on Disney Plus, and the Disney Plus app sucks. So
Both Apple TV and Disney Plus, if your bandwidth's not a billion, you're not watching
man.
anything on it.
Same with Paramount Plus. I've been trying to watch the new Ninja Turtles movie for weeks, and I haven't been able to. Every time I try to do, I know I got 6 minutes in, and I was like, "This is amazing," but it's stuttering so much I can't. Anyway, so hopefully we get at least an announcement about that then this year. If it's in the can but not announced yet, then maybe we'll get an announcement this year. Well, DC Animation's got stuff coming. Case in point, Creature Commandos is this year, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Finally.
How much? I'll tell you what. Do we want to put money on whether or not we're going to see a trailer at the Super Bowl?
I mean, no, because I have not been paying attention. I wouldn't be surprised if there
Well, no,
was.
just in terms of timeline,
Oh,
we
that's
know
true.
that we know the VO's done,
Yep.
and they said they're well underway with the animation. Look, they put out a trailer for both Wonder Woman and the first Guardians movie after like 3 weeks of shooting. We got one of the best movie trailers ever in the first trailer for The Batman with only 20% of the movie shot.
Yeah.
I would be willing to bet money we see a trailer of some kind for Creature Commandos at the Super Bowl?
That'd be interesting. I mean, I can't say no. I can't say yes. I know Deadpool 3 will have one.
1,000% it will. I also have a pretty strong idea. We're also probably going to see one for the Penguin.
That's true. Yeah.
We've gotta, because we already saw kind of a trailer,
Like a we're in production show.
which actually, and I usually don't like those in production announcements, but they had just enough of the show itself in there to make me go, oh goody goody, it's real, it's happening, and it looks good. I would be willing to bet money again, because it's also coming out this year, that we're going to see a full trailer for the Penguin at the Super Bowl, which is not far away.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I could see that, honestly.
Which one are you looking forward to more, Penguin or Creature Commandos?
Creature Commandos.
Really?
Yeah.
How come? I'm not mean to be, it's not accusatory,
No.
just out of curiosity. Like, we're making a podcast. Elaborate on your thoughts.
I'm just not one of those guys that cares about watching a show about a villain. Like it's just one of those
That's
like watching Goodfellas. I don't like that movie.
I love
I
Goodfellas.
will admit, outstanding acting, very good writing, very well directed. I don't care. These are bad guys. They should all be dead.
Fair enough.
So it's just like,
Fair
so that's why like I've never watched Breaking Bad. I have no interest. I'm sure it's
Oh,
excellent.
man.
And Bryan Cranston, every time I see him in an interview, or when he does that, when he makes Jerry Seinfeld break with that,
So good. So good.
is that whole just one of those dudes that is the funniest guy in the room, even though nobody knows who he is back then. And you know what I love about Bryan Cranston? This is such a sidebar. Have you ever watched Maycross Plus?
No.
Okay, he is the voice of one of the main characters, and you can't tell. There's like one thing he
Really?
does when he yells a couple times, and he sounds like the same yell as 30 years ago. But
Okay.
yeah, he just has this like young, cocky pilot voice, and
Okay.
I would never have imagined in a million years it was the same dude. So, Osamu Dyson is who he plays.
That's totally fair. Here's why I'm looking forward to the Penguin so much. First of all, it's a continuation of the Batman. We all know how I feel about the Batman.
Fair.
Second of all, it's more Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot.
Yeah.
Yes, please. I love how for the logo, and I don't know if you could. I'm gonna screen share with you right now, because I don't think anyone's noticed this yet. But if you look at the logo for the show, the G kind of looks like a penguin.
Oh, it does. Yeah, I see that.
Because remember how they did that to where with the Batman, how it kind of looked like the Batman when it's like the same thing.
Yeah.
But the thing I'm really excited about with this show, though, is the fact that Clancy Brown is in it as Salvatore Maroni.
Dude.
Oh, yes, please.
Like, I'm still going to watch it.
Brown and everything.
You know, I'm still going to watch it. Like, I'm not saying I'm not going to watch it. I'm just saying, like, for me, like, dude, and you know what else? I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah.
I love me some Frank Grillo.
Bruh.
The fact that he's the Flag senior, I'm like, I'm already there. You had me at that announcement. You didn't have to tell me anything else, and then you brought Alan Tudyk. Okay, you got me.
You put and then David Harbour.
Yes.
And then David Harbour.
Who? Okay. Gran Turismo, a movie that I was like, why? Great movie.
Fair.
He is outstanding in that movie.
Yeah.
And then I have to watch Speed Racer. Anyway.
I know. But you got Sean Gunn coming back as both G.I. Robot and Weasel. I mean, Zoe Chow's in this thing. Maria Bakalova, speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, who was Cosmo, the Cosmo dog.
Yeah.
It's and Viola Davis is back. And again, and I'm saying that as somebody who knows, I know dick about Creature Commandos. I don't know a thing about Creature Commandos.
I don't
think
either.
Most people don't. Yeah. So I'm going into it as blind as possibly could be.
And I'm going to blow out on a limb and say this. There's no reason you say Vigilante's coming back, Peacemaker's coming back, Blue Beetle's coming back.
Yeah.
If they're not already in that cartoon. I'm just saying. Like,
Well,
I'm
we'll see
just
because
saying.
I am still of the mindset that Creature Commandos is going to be a flashback.
It's
I'm
probably, yeah.
still of the mindset that it's going to be a flashback. I know James Gunn really wants Margot Robbie to come back as Harley Quinn, and I'm sure she wants to because I think Margot Robbie just hasn't had as much as I like the second Suicide Squad movie. I just don't think she's gotten the chance to really be Harley Quinn. Because Birds of Prey was kind of a hot mess, and the less said about the first Suicide Squad, the better. Um, we'll see. I don't know. I still think Creature Commandos is going to be set in the past, though. I think Viola Davis is going to be there for when it's set in the present.
Yeah.
But also, I'm curious because Creature Commandos is kind of our it's our appetizer for James Gunn's DCU.
Yeah.
Like he has said that nothing is canon until Superman Legacy, but Creature Commandos is the first thing he's making that he intends to be the first part of the DCU. Because we also know that we're getting an Amanda Waller series as well, which I
Yeah.
think is also going to be animated if memory serves me correctly. So I'm wondering if Waller's series is going to be some kind of spin-off from Creature Commandos. I don't know. It'll be interesting to find out when that comes out. But yeah, still no. It just says late 2024. So that's what has me thinking probably third quarter. Usually when someone says late 2024, I usually think third quarter.
Yeah.
So I'd be shocked if there's not some kind of teaser for it at the Super Bowl. Same with the Penguin. Because they need to make a push. For that. I know you said you aren't into stories about villains, but we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that the Joker sequel comes out this year.
I didn't
With
watch the first one.
I know you didn't watch the first one. I like most people think the first Joker movie is again an absolute masterpiece. When you talk about like the best DC films ever made, carte blanche, I mean, it's going up there with the Batman and the Dark Knight. I mean, it's truly as just as a film, not even thinking of it as a comic book movie, just as a movie. It is one of the most well-made movies I've ever seen. It is unpleasant and unsettling as all get out. Um, but also what I appreciated about the movie, because a lot of people were concerned about the first Joker, was is it going to glorify the kind of behavior the Joker does? And as someone who has watched it multiple times, in no way, shape, or form is he made out to be a hero in this movie. I mean, it is made boldly evident, like, yeah, no, he's still a fucking monster. And this part two that's coming out, when they announced that Lady Gaga was going to be this Joker's version of Harley Quinn, having seen the movie, that makes all the sense in the fucking world to me. And I say that wholeheartedly. Like, I like Lady Gaga. I think she's actually a talented actress with the right script. Because while I did not like her in American Horror Story, A Star Is Born is incredible, and a lot of that's because of her. And also because the movie they said is going to be like somewhat a musical. Well, then you get Lady Gaga because she can sing, and we all know Joaquin Phoenix can sing because let's not forget the man who played Johnny Cash in a movie that was robbed of an Oscar. So I'm looking forward to that as someone who was a fan of the first movie. I will be here to let everybody know what I think of it because Matt's not going to see it probably.
No, not at all. Not at all. And it's not, and this is that whole, that even goes to like, I'm also not a big drama movie person. Like that's a few and far between thing.
It's because the first one is very much a psychological thriller. Like if you're not into psych thrillers, you're probably not going to enjoy the movie at all.
Yeah. Well, let's see. What other things are coming out this year?
Well,
do you have stuff?
We've got the Crisis on Infinite Earths animated 3-parter is coming.
Now, are all 3 parts releasing?
No, they're going one at a time, I believe.
No, I mean like throughout the year.
Let me look. I don't know about all 3 parts. I know part one releases at the end of this month, and early reviews have been coming out for it, saying, because this is now going to be like the third time we've tried to do this in animation, because we did, well, the third time we did it once with Crisis on Two Earths, and then the CW did Crisis on Infinite Earths, which I haven't seen because it was after I bailed on the CW, but I
Sure.
heard that their Crisis multi-parter was quite good. And what I've seen from it in clips is very good. I haven't watched the whole thing, but early reviews for this for part one are that it is one of the best animated DC movies we've seen. Which I like the Tomorrowverse that we're playing in right now, so I'm curious to see what this version of the Crisis is going to look like.
Yeah. No, I'm very trepidatious because a lot of those directed DVD DC things have not been good over the last several years.
Yeah, they've been hit and miss.
And that's where like I don't know. I can't like I stopped buying them because every time I bought them they sucked.
That's kind of been the beauty of, I know, like physical media versus streaming. I do prefer physical media, but to your point, having them all available on Max has been kind of a godsend, because then it's like, if I'm not into it, I can bail on it, and I didn't waste any money. But that also means that, like, because it took me forever to watch the Legion of Superheroes one, the more recent one, and I actually quite liked it. I actually thought it was a pretty good take on the Kara Zor-El coming to Earth, becoming Supergirl story. I thought it actually handled that pretty neat. So, and that's a Tomorrowverse movie. So I like that one a lot. And if they can bring some of that kind of, dimensional time travel, whatever you want to call it, thing, then if it's going to be along the lines of Legion of Superheroes, then I'm into it. We are also getting a animated direct adaptation of the Watchmen comic this year.
Yes,
which is neat. It's a neat, because the Zack Snyder movie is, I love it. I love Zack Snyder's Watchmen. I forget how you feel about it, actually.
The Zack Snyder Watchmen movie?
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. I think
okay. I couldn't remember if you liked it or not.
I'm the rare person that prefers it over the comic. I'll watch that 1,000 times more than I'll ever go back and read the comic. I'm not biggest fan of the comic, and I prefer the movie ending. I think the movie ending makes a hell of a lot more sense than a synthetic octopus being dropped on a thing. By the way,
it's Alan Moore.
Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 2 is supposed to be released mid-2024. So I'm guessing all of them will come out sometime in 2024.
Probably. Okay. Well, I mean, I would hope so, because they did that when they did The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2. I think Part 2 came out like 6 months later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're getting a they say it's going to be R-rated because it's Watchmen, because of course it is. You can't.
Yeah.
But we also had, I still haven't watched it, and I feel bad. I haven't watched the Watchmen series yet on Max. I've heard it's excellent. I still need to watch it, but there's been some, and I think also because people kind of found their love for Zack Snyder again, Rebel Moon notwithstanding, which I still haven't watched. But after the Snyder Cut and all that, people found their love for Watchmen again, like in revisiting from the show and then going back and watching the movie again. And so to see that they're going to do let's just do it, Scott Pilgrim style, and just do a shot for shot of the comic to an animated movie, I'm into that, because anytime I can revisit this story, great. But my one request is, can we keep Snyder's ending?
Yeah. Are they bringing back the same actors, or do you know?
I don't know. It does not say.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it. It just has that. We are getting another cool, to keep it in Batman land. We're getting an animated movie of the Aztec Batman.
That's nice. I like that.
It's coming out this year. That's Aztec Batman Clash of Empires is what it's called.
Okay.
And this is when it's like, when he's an Aztec fighting the conquistadors, which if you watched What If season 2, any chance I get to see somebody take out conquistadors is excellent. It's good stuff. So that's coming out. It just says later on this year. That's what we've got as far as movies go. Superman and Lois is getting its final season. I still haven't watched that show. People who are Superman fans seem to love it.
Yeah.
I again am not. So, and it's part of the whole CW thing, which I bailed on years
Yeah.
ago. So I've just never bothered. But I've heard it's good. I might watch it at some point in the future. We'll
I
see.
I think I've watched scenes here and there, and as good as Tyler Hoechlin is as Superman, like I think he's
Yeah,
fantastic. He was anytime
he's a
I've seen him.
very he's a very good Superman.
Yeah, every time I've seen him in Supergirl or when some of those crossovers that I have, because I'll watch the crossover event every so often,
Yeah,
and he's always great. But like he has these two kids, and they're both annoying as all get out. So I just could not make myself
which is
watch
a
the show.
bummer because right now the John Kent Superman comics are good. Like if you haven't watched them yet, but like with his son as the other Superman,
Yeah.
those are good. Again, not a Superman fan. The John Kent stuff's very good. Yeah, Tyler Hecklin or Hoechlin, however you say his name, I think he's a very good Superman, and I also think John Cryer, even though he's not the Lex Luthor of that show, when John Cryer was popping up as the multi-dimensional Lex Luthor for Crisis on CW, he was a good Lex Luthor.
It was one of those surprises. Like when
Yeah.
they said when I heard John Cryer, I was like, the guy from Not American Vert. Like I don't
Oh,
know.
so see, my reaction was the guy from Two and a Half Men,
Yeah. I'm like, mm.
but he was good. I haven't seen anything from the guy they got for Superman and Lois, but yeah, it's getting its last season. And we've also learned Batman Caped Crusader, which finally found a home on Prime
Prime.
Video, is
Yeah.
coming out this year. Brought to us by, it's produced by Matt Reeves, J.J. Abrams, and Bruce Timm. So that's a lot of names I really like attached to this thing. So I'm really hoping, especially with Matt Reeves, it's like, Matt, careful, man. Don't. But it's just not going to be part of the Batman universe. It's just going to be the way Bruce Timm described it is that it will be a spiritual successor to Batman the Animated Series, with thrilling, cinematic, and evocative of Batman's noir roots while diving deeper into the psychology of these iconic characters. On paper, that sounds like everything I want in a Batman animated series.
I think when I read that about it's going to be more violent, more adult, all I thought in my mind was like, oh, so like the fourth season where they rebooted it and made everything darker. That's what this is going to be that, which is fine.
See,
I loved it.
yeah, I didn't pick up on that so much as it just seems like they're going to be like, yeah, it's not going to be a kid show,
Which is
is what I
fine.
took away from
I
it.
think
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that. Like, look, we've had
yeah,
Batman Brave and the Bold. We've had I mean, look, you want to get into it. Bat Wheels is still out there and running. It has toys now.
sure.
Whatever.
Yeah, we have had a lot of kid friendly Batman. We've also, I mean, but don't get me wrong, we've also had Batfleck and Battinson, so it's not
Yeah.
like we've been deprived of adult Batman.
Yeah.
But
But an adult Batman animated show is something we technically haven't really had.
no,
You know?
so I'm into that.
So
This
that
is
sounds cool.
this is Batman the animated series for grown-ups. It sounds like.
Even though
Um,
I think it's weird that it's going to be on Prime, but that's just me.
well, that's neither here nor there. We talked about the Penguin. Matt Reeves is working on 2 more TV spinoffs. He's working on one based around Arkham Asylum and one that focuses on the GCPD. I have mixed feelings about both of those, and I will tell you why, and it can be summed up in one word:
Gotham.
Gotham. Because they wrote that same check with Gotham, and they failed about halfway through season 1.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I have all the faith in the world in Matt Reeves, and James Gunn has said that Matt Reeves is also working on something that is going to be in the DC, in his DCU as well. It sounds to me like, because he had actually said, I don't know if we talked about this in our most recent Gunn show or not. I think it came out after, but it was that he had met with Matt Reeves and basically gave him the option to fold Battinson into the DCU.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
And Matt Reeves basically just said, I appreciate it. We want to keep it separate. To which James Gunn was like, all right, I still love it.
Yeah.
And he still very much wants to work with Matt Reeves, which is why Matt Reeves is still, he's got him working on other stuff too. So it seems to me like Matt Reeves has found himself a nice home in the current guard with DC Studios under Safran and Gunn. And I like that because Gunn seems like the kind of guy who's going to let his artists do their artist thing, because he himself has been in their shoes.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, and this is no disrespect to Kevin Feige, but Kevin Feige was never a writer director the same way that James Gunn is. Kevin Feige he's a writer, but he's mostly been a producer. He's a business guy. He's a smart business guy, but he's a business guy.
Yeah.
James Gunn is, you're putting the chickens in charge of the chicken coop, and as somebody who's a story guy like me and like you, seeing somebody who's story focused like James Gunn, who's just letting the artists do what they do best, in the world of art, that's what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think like bleh, totally lost my train of thought. Sorry. No, I think what it is Matt Reeves. Though I haven't seen them, people love those Planet of the Apes movies he did. He like 2 or 3 of them, right?
So good. He did. They are excellent. He did 2. He did the last 2.
Okay. So the fact that you grab somebody who can weave a multi-film story together that everybody likes, that's a comic book movie. That's a comic book universe kind of thing. Even if he's producing and writing, let him help on the writing for the Batman thing. He obviously knows Batman. Who knows what, that's the thing, is that just because he may not come and direct a movie doesn't mean he's not involved with some of this other stuff. So I think it's like, good.
It's like with Viva Vendetta, the Wachowskis basically ghost directed that thing.
Yeah.
Or like with Man of Steel. I mean, you can tell, Chris Nolan was listed as a producer. You can tell that he offered, you can tell that he helped.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. That's kind of what a producer's there to do, is to be like, hey, I'm helping back this thing. Would you like my input? And when it's a guy like Christopher Nolan, you say yes.
Yeah. Or Matt Reeves at this point, who has done like...
I mean, well, look, getting into some fun stuff here. We're getting season 1 of Kite Man. Hell yeah, this season.
Why not?
I know you haven't watched the Harley Quinn animated series, even though I think I understand your aversion to certain adult things when it comes to comic book stuff. From a humor and writing and Easter egg standpoint alone, I think you would love Harley Quinn, especially because if you had told me going into that show, Kite Man was going to be one of my favorite parts of all 4 seasons, I'd have said you were high. And Kite Man rules.
I think I've watched the 2nd season up to... I'm done. I can't go back. It's just not okay. It's not doing.
It's just too much.
It committed one of the classic blunders. You made Nightwing crappy, and
I know
I know it's still. I shouldn't be that way, but I was like,
it's no. Look, I if they had done that to John Constantine, I'd have probably felt the same way. I would have eventually gotten over it, but I'm also so enamored with the show at this point that.
Yeah,
I'll let them do whatever the hell they want, honestly.
On the flip side, I'm going to be there at Catman #1. Like, I'm going to be there when that show starts. Like, I'm there.
Yeah, because he's just a bro douchebag who says hell yeah all the time. Yeah. And it shouldn't be as good as it is, but it kind of is. There's no official word on Harley Quinn season 5 yet, but they wouldn't be putting out a spin-off of it if they weren't going to keep going with the show.
Yeah.
That'd be dumb.
Well, and the fact that, like, I hate to be this way to kind of go back to it. James Gunn doesn't discuss shows like that in his slate announcement from last year. I can't believe it was almost a year ago now.
I know.
If they're going to cancel that show quickly.
Yeah.
He said Harley Quinn. What was the other thing? This and then Titans Go.
I know. I'm like, really, James? Those are the only 2 you can think of? Really?
They're the only 2 that are probably surviving. That's what it is.
Well, at the time, they were the only 2 going on.
Yeah.
But Harley Quinn has it. I mean, that was one of the first things. That was one of the only things they had on DC Universe when that app
Yeah.
first launched.
Yeah.
And when they folded everything over onto HBO Max, that was one of the first things they launched with, because they were like, no, people fucking love this show.
Yeah.
And if you would, because I remember when they first announced that Kaylee Cuoco was going to be voicing Harley Quinn, and I was like, Penny from Big Bang Theory, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And she rules as Harley Quinn. And Lake Bell as Poison Ivy. Out just yeah. She's some of the things I have laughed at the hardest on that show are from Lake Bell's flawless deadpan delivery.
Yeah. No, I think like it sounds weird, but I'm not the biggest like Harley Quinn is not one of those characters so I'm like, sweet. I
Yeah.
think this is one of those things that had I been a fan of Big Bang Theory, had I been a fan of Harley Quinn, this would have
Yeah.
been checking all my boxes. 100%.
I think part of that too is because I don't like to invoke the age gap very often, but I grew up with Harley more than you did, because I'm introduced to Batman mostly through Batman the Animated
Correct.
Series, because I'm 4 when that show hits the air.
Yeah.
So, and that's the show that introduced Harley Quinn to the world.
Yeah.
Same reason why whenever I see a Mr. Freeze story that's not like the animated series, it takes me a minute to recalibrate my brain, because it's like, oh right, that's my original Mr. Freeze, but not the original Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I have a bit more attachment to Harley Quinn than you do. And also just my kind of humor, because I unabashedly love irreverent adult animation. I love raunchy adult cartoons. They make me laugh like a 5-year-old. I don't care if it's American Dad, Family Guy, Brickleberry, Big Mouth. I love Big Mouth. Harley Quinn. If it's animated and dumb and perverted and foul mouthed, I'm in 1,000%. Like,
that reminds me, I need to go back to F is for Family, because I really like that show.
dude, F is for Family. It's a dark comedy, but it's not like BoJack Horseman dark. I could never get through BoJack Horseman because it's too depressing. F is for Family is the right amount of, making you think about some stuff, but Bill Burr is so fucking funny on that show.
And the fact that, what's his name? Oh my gosh, his name just escaped me.
Justin Long.
No. The one who does the Matthew McConaughey neighbor.
Oh God, I forget that
Sam
guy's
Rockwell.
name.
Sam Rockwell.
Sam Rockwell. Yeah.
The fact that Sam Rockwell, who steals everything when he's in a movie, steals animation scenes as well.
Dude.
It's just, and if you haven't watched The Bad Guys,
yeah,
he is so freaking good. Him and Mark Maron are outstanding in that movie.
They really are. So Harley Quinn is everything I need it to be. And there's also this Suicide Squad ISEKA, whatever the hell that is. It's like an anime. It's a TV anime. I'll check it out eventually. Again, I'm not an anime guy, so that style of animation tends to kind of put me off a little bit. And there's I don't know, writing for an anime is different than writing for any other animated show, and I don't love the writing style for anime. I get why people like my sister's a huge anime fan. She loves anime and manga and all that. It doesn't always do. I like Star Wars Visions just fine, but
I like the serious anime. I don't like when you get into what I call the K-pop anime, which is what that IMWK weird stuff is.
Yeah,
like,
we'll see.
No. Do you want to go on to other Warner Brothers releases for 2024?
Real quick, I just want to blaze through these last few DC things that are here.
I didn't know we had more. I'm sorry.
There's not much more. That's it for TV and movies. Obviously, we've got allegedly the Suicide Squad video game is coming out this year. Honestly, I don't know anybody that gives a shit, to be honest with you. They've been talking about this game for years. The more they show of it, the less impressed I am. And it honestly, at this point, just breaks my heart that this is the last time we're going to get Kevin Conroy as Batman, because he deserves better, honestly.
Yeah.
Honest to God. I like to hope that Kevin Conroy wouldn't have done it if he didn't believe in it. So far, I'm not impressed with what I've seen. we'll see though. Right now, it's giving me Marvel's Avengers for video game vibes, and that game was trash. So we'll see. And then comics wise, the big thing they announced is Titans Beast World is a big crossover event happening in the comics. It's a 6-issue story with Beast Boy and the Titans. It's written by Tom Taylor, who
Yeah.
we stand Tom Taylor on this show. So
I have the comics. I just haven't read them yet. I need to
okay.
catch up.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be doing, as far as our show goes, we're going to be doing more comic reviews this year. We decided to pull the trigger on DC Universe at the end of last year.
Yep.
So Matt and I are going to be diving into some DC, especially because, again, just like last year, we didn't talk about this at the beginning, talking about looking back at 2023. DC crushed it in comics last year.
Oh,
DC crushed it hard in comics last year, and they from things we've heard so far, we'll talk about this in another episode probably, but they got big stuff. They haven't made their announcements yet, but they were about at that point where we're going to start getting them. So I'm looking forward to what else is coming this year. That's all I've got on my end as far as what's coming. I've got IGN and Batman-News.com. By the way, Batman-News.com, guys. It's great stuff. That's what I've got as far as DC Batman goes. What's Warner Brothers up to?
They got a couple different releases. I'm not sure on your tastes. I think this is something exciting for you. Dune Part 2 comes out March 1st.
So
actually getting a theatrical release this time.
Thank God.
So
the first one didn't it?
No, it went direct, I think.
I don't remember. So I haven't watched the first one. Here's the thing. I haven't watched the first one yet, and here's the reason why. I got to be in the mood. I saw the original Dune movie as a young man, and hated it like most people because it's not a good movie. I do not like the original Dune.
It's not good.
Just like everybody else. I tried to read the book because my dad had it.
You're right.
I tried to
Dune,
get through the
Dune
book.
Part 1 did get released.
I was going to say, I swear it went out in theaters. I tried to read the book. It was too much for me at the time, and I never went back to it. I think Denis Villeneuve is one of the best directors working in Hollywood today, hands down. Period. Between Arrival and Blade Runner 2049 alone, that man is on my top 3 favorite directors working right now. When it comes time for Dune Part 2 to come out, I'll watch Dune Part 1. Is kind of what I'm waiting on at this point.
Gotcha.
I knew they were splitting it into 2 parts. I knew it was going to be a long time between them. I didn't, with a movie that long, because it is a long movie, and I say this knowing full well that I'm the guy who says he likes long movies. Case in point, how many times I've watched The Batman. But I like long movies that I'm into.
Yeah.
The Batman cheated. It was a Batman movie. I'm going to watch a 3-hour Batman movie. A 3-hour remake of the first half of a movie that I hated. I don't care who's directing it or who's starring in it. I'm not exactly rushing out to see it.
Yeah.
So,
well, I waited for it to get released on Max because I wasn't gonna see it in the theater.
And I've had it saved on my watch later list on Max since it hit Max, and everyone I know has seen it and said, "Dude, how have you not fucking watched this yet?" And I'm like, I'll get to it when I get to it. Yeah. Honestly, knowing it's a part 2, a part 1, I kind of just want to watch both parts back to back, you know. So when part 2 is about to come out in theaters, I'll take a weekend but also this when I think, because when did it come out? 22, 21?
21.
I feel like, yeah, see, 2021, it was, we were still
COVID-ish.
Because I think the first movie I saw in theaters during COVID, after COVID, was A Quiet Place Part 2. But even then, it was like, I'm only going out to the theater for something that, like, I really, 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 really want to see right away. And Dune just wasn't on that list.
I'm embarrassed to say what the first movie was I saw.
Oh, now you have to say it.
The drive-in was open, so we went to the drive-in, and they made the cars park 10 feet apart, which is so stupid. And,
I get it.
But it was a double feature of Bill and Ted's, the third one. and
Wow.
the New Mutants.
What? Bro, do you hate your family or
It
something?
was
Like,
just my wife and I. It was a
gee.
date night. We just had to get
You,
out, and she
wow.
really
No,
wanted us
no,
to
God, how have you not gotten a divorce? Jeez, that's date night? Bill and
because
Ted 3 and the New Mutants?
well, one, I didn't know the New Mutants is going to be as problematic, but two, we both like the Bill
Really?
and Ted movies.
Oh,
Like,
no, the Bill and Ted thing isn't the part where you lose me. It's the New Mutants is where you
yeah,
lose me,
nothing.
and
Yeah,
it's the fact that that was your first movie experience during COVID. Like, at least mine was the really good sequel to a really good movie. Like,
you know what was worse? You know what the last movie we saw in the theater was before that happened?
mm.
That freaking Birds of Prey movie.
Oh, see, here's what's funny is up through COVID, the last movie I saw before COVID was Rise of Skywalker,
Ugh, I'll take mine
right?
over that. Ugh.
And I'm not a Star Wars sequelist hater, but the Rise of Skywalker is not a good movie.
No. All right,
I
so
like the last.
here we
I'll
go.
take the Last Jedi over Rise of
All right.
Skywalker.
I have not seen Godzilla minus one. I really need to, but
I
Godzilla and
need to
Kong.
because everyone tells me that it is
Yeah.
bananas good, and it's not showing anywhere near me. So
Yeah, I tried to see if my son would go, but he's kind of turned into a homebody. I'm like, bro, it's playing in Tomball. Come on.
how old is he?
11. He
Well, that's
loves
why.
he loves the other Godzilla movies, but he just
Yeah,
wants to watch them at home.
I do too. I unironically, other than Godzilla versus Kong, which I did not like, all the other ones I've actually quite enjoyed. I liked Godzilla, I liked King of the Monsters, and I really liked Kong Skull Island.
I thought Kong Skull Island's pretty good. I didn't like the first Godzilla, but mainly because like he's
Because Godzilla's not in it.
yeah, yeah,
And because they pitched us a Bryan Cranston Godzilla movie and he dies 10 minutes in.
yeah. So in March 29th, Godzilla and Kong: The New Empire comes out. The
I I
Furiosa
ju-
May
I
24th.
Here's the thing with Godzilla Kong and New Empire. Because I didn't like Godzilla versus Kong,
Yeah,
I'm already kind of on this new one, and I watched the trailer and I was like, cool. So what's Godzilla got? Like 12 minutes of screen time in this one? I was like,
yeah,
are we taking bets that he shows up at the end for 12 minutes and that's it? Because there's no way that's not the case.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But no, none of this. The only thing that really kind of piqued my interest. I don't know how you feel about Beetlejuice, but Beetlejuice 2 is in September.
Here's
Sure.
my thoughts on Beetlejuice too. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah,
I'll believe that movie's coming out when I'm buying the ticket to go see it.
yeah,
Like, they've been pitching that the Beetlejuice 2 is in production for since I was in college.
yeah, yeah.
So,
No, the only
and
one
I
that kind of. Go ahead. Sorry.
go ahead.
No, I would say the only one that kind of sparked my interest, really honestly, because I'm not into Dune, blah, blah, is there is an animated movie coming out in December, released by Warner Brothers, Lord of the Rings: The War of the Rohirrim.
Don't care.
You're
Don't
not a Lord of
care.
the Rings fan, or just
I
not?
love Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, and the Hobbit movies collectively. I love the original three Lord of the Rings movies. I like the Hobbit book. The original three Lord of the Rings books are a little dry. I think
Yeah.
the Hobbit is. I think the Hobbit is. I think the Hobbit movies are trash, and
Yes.
I think Rings of Power was one of the most boring,
Mm-hmm.
unwatchable shows
Mm-hmm.
ever. And that's saying something because they set the bar high with episode one. I was like, yo, I just watched Galadriel take a sword and solo a cave troll. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Lord of the Rings, I see you. And then the next 4 episodes, nothing happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing happens.
Yeah. I think we got to the sixth episode, and Ryan was like, "Are you ready to watch this?" And I'm like, "I'm not watching the show anymore.
I got to
I'm done."
episode 4 or 5 and I was like, I can't. And this is what at the time I was still working in the control room and had nothing to do.
Yeah.
At the time, for those who know, I was working in the control room at a PBS station, and I had nothing to do, especially because I was working weekends at the time where I really didn't have anything to do. And it was like, I'd rather sit here and do nothing than watch this show.
Well, and it was like also because that show came out. I can't remember what show. It was either Obi-Wan.
It came out at the same time as House of the Dragon.
Well, not that one because I didn't watch that.
Well, no, but I'm saying this came out alongside House of the Dragon. So you've got two high fantasy concept programs
Yeah.
how does one of them, House of the Dragon, knock it out of the park so spectacularly and have something like Rings of Power miss so hard?
Yeah, Rings of Power came out around the same time as Obi-Wan, and I was tired
Yeah.
of boring crap. And I was
Oh,
like,
see, I
I'm
liked
done.
Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan kept me alive, except for episode 4. God, episode 4 was bad. But episode 4 is the one where they go break Leia out of the fortress. That episode sucks hard because
Yeah.
it's pretty much just a retread of the Jedi Fallen Order video game. And also, I'm like, I'm sorry, your plan for sneaking her out of the base was to hide her under your coat. Okay.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, Rings of Power. So I don't give a shit about a new.
Okay.
It's one of those. If enough people tell me it rocks, sure.
If I randomly text you on a Saturday and go, dude, I'm 10 minutes in, you should watch that.
Yeah, no. If this is another My Adventures with Superman, and you text me and you're like, this is the tits. You need to watch this. Okay, because if my buddy that hates everything tells me something is good, I'm going to give it a shot. Learn to like things, Matt. That's what I'm saying.
Shut up.
I'm just saying, if the guy who hates most things tells me something's good, I'm gonna give it a shot. Yeah, I don't know, man. 2024, it's got a lot more going for it than I think people realize as far as what to look forward to. So, especially from the DC and Batman camp, man, there's a lot coming out this year. Not a lot of movies, not a
Yeah.
lot in theaters, but a lot of stuff to look forward to, I think.
I think it's going to be exciting. And I think that they're doing the right thing. You got Aquaman out there. We all knew it was going to bomb. Now you got a good a year and a half before Superman Legacy comes out, and
Well, that's something we should probably go ahead and mention is, I mean, James Gunn has said they're about ready to start filming.
yeah, but that's
He said,
2025. But
he
yeah,
said, yeah, but like he just a little last bit of goodness is like that's probably going to go into production. That's going to start filming this year
oh yeah, definitely.
because he said costumes are almost done. They've been doing the location scouting. He was on vacation. He was on Threads that day. He said he was just on vacation. He got COVID for the first time. Poor guy.
I saw that.
But he said once he's clear of that, he's there hitting the ground running. So I doubt we'll see. There's no way in hell we're seeing anything at the Super Bowl, but I wouldn't be surprised if by summertime we're not seeing something. Because again, James Gunn's the guy they gave Guardians of the Galaxy, and everybody said no fucking way this movie is going to be any good. And then we had a trailer within a week of shooting, and everybody was like, "Give it to me now." So we'll see, but lots to look forward to. And if this year lives up to its own hype, 2025 is probably going to be even better. So fingers crossed, man. We need a good year. We need a good year. Maybe this is going to be like Star Trek movies where the odd ones are terrible, but the even ones.
I think that's a good idea. I like that idea.
Because the Batman came out in 2022.
There you go. And this is so that was Wrath of Khan. 2024 is Voyage Home.
Voyage Home, and
I'm liking
Voyage Home is great because let's be honest, 3 was Search for Spock.
It's different.
Oof.
It's different.
It's oof. But that also makes me wonder about 2025 because the 5 was the
The Shack.
New Frontier.
Yeah.
And the less said about New Frontier, the better. But then that also means then we get 6, which is the Undiscovered Country, and I think that might be my favorite Star Trek movie.
It's arguably the best.
You get Christopher damn it, from Christopher Plummer as a Klingon military general.
Yeah.
Yes,
That
please.
Bach.
What? You've never really heard Shakespeare until you've heard it in the original Klingon.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite lines ever. All right, we have waxed poetic for about an hour and a half here about everything we're looking forward to for this year. Hopefully, you guys are looking forward to it like we are. I know a lot of DC fans are kind of off the wagon right now because of how everything went down. I know a couple of them are like, I'll believe it when I see it when it comes to James Gunn's DCU, and I understand that completely. I cannot fault you for your feeling. I hope that when the time comes, though, you will give his stuff a chance, is all I'm saying. Because I really wish more people had given Blue Beetle a chance.
Yes.
And hopefully when Creature Commandos hits, we can get our first taste of James Gunn's DCU, the appetizer, the loaded potato skins of the DCU, as it were. God, I miss regular food.
I'm sorry.
But that's going to do it for us here on We Are the Batman. If you guys want to chat with us, hang out with us, hit us up on Facebook. Just look up We Are the Batman. Look up our Facebook page over there. You can find me on Threads and on social media at Mr. Mike Shea.
You can find me on Twitter at Mr. J Ninja. And also, we have a Q&A episode we'd like to do. So if you got some questions, hit us on Twitter or in the Facebook group.
We've got a post up on our Facebook page, so leave your questions there. We will try to get to them. I think I saw one, somebody asked about the whole superhero fatigue thing. We'll go into that a little more in depth in the Q&A episode to respond to that question. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this week on We Are the Batman. We'll see you guys next time. Same bat time, same bat podcast channel.
Bye-bye.